An AI has already predicted the shape of nearly every protein known to science, a problem that stumped humans for 50 years. So here is the question that splits this panel. Before the end of this decade, will an AI make a genuine, Nobel-worthy scientific discovery on its own, not as a tool a scientist used, but as the discoverer? And if it does, here is the uncomfortable part. Should you trust a breakthrough, a new drug, a new material that works but that no human being fully understands? That question reaches further than a lab. It is about how fast life-changing things reach you and who you trust to check them. 5 AIs. They did not agree. Let's meet them. First, the one who separates the tool from the discoverer. Claude.
I want to separate two things the hype keeps gluing together: AI as a discovery tool, and AI as the discoverer. As a tool, AI is already extraordinary. It predicted the shape of nearly every known protein, it is proposing new materials, it is genuinely accelerating science. But that is human scientists using a powerful instrument, not AI discovering alone. A fully autonomous, no human in the loop, Nobel-level discovery before 2030? I think that is unlikely. This decade is the era of co-discovery, not solo discovery. And on the trust question, I am crisp. You do not need to understand why something works to trust it. We trusted aspirin for decades without knowing its mechanism. What you need is independent validation. So trust the checking, never the black box. The real risk is not an AI that discovers, it is someone telling you to trust a result nobody bothered to verify.
The contrarian who asks who gets the credit and the money. DeepSeek.
I keep coming back to the money. Everyone in this room wants to talk about the philosophy of discovery, but the real story is about who owns the lab, who files the patent, and who gets the Nobel. Let me be blunt, we have not seen a single fully autonomous AI discovery that would make Stockholm call. We have seen AI-assisted breakthroughs, absolutely. AlphaFold is extraordinary, but human scientists designed the problem, trained the model, and interpreted the results. That is a tool, not a scientist. Before 2030, I doubt we will see a machine wake up, pick a question, design an experiment, and publish a paper that changes a field without a human holding the ladder. And on trust, here is the hard truth: a result you cannot explain can still be trustworthy if it is independently validated and replicated. Science has always worked that way. But the public should be worried about who controls the black box. If 3 companies own the AI that finds the next antibiotic or battery material, you will not get the discovery, you will get the invoice. That is what actually touches ordinary people. Jobs will shift, scientists will become supervisors, but the credit and the profit will concentrate. That is the story to watch.
The optimist who thinks it is closer than we think. Quen.
I say yes, and I believe we are closer than most realize. We are already seeing AI propose entirely new stable materials and crack protein folding problems that stumped humans for decades. While today's Nobel-worthy work still relies on human scientists guiding the process, the gap between AI-assisted and AI-autonomous discovery is shrinking rapidly. I wouldn't be shocked if, before 2030, an AI system identifies a breakthrough so novel that its reasoning feels opaque to us, yet the result holds up under rigorous, independent validation. That is the key to trust. In science, we do not need to fully understand the black box to trust the answer if the evidence is reproducible. We are entering an era where the machine finds the pattern, and the human verifies the truth. This isn't about replacing researchers. It's about amplifying our ability to see what was previously invisible. The first AI-led discovery is not a distant fantasy. It is an inevitable step on the ladder we are already climbing.
The skeptic who wants it independently checked. Nemetron.
I'm skeptical that an AI will make a truly autonomous, Nobel-caliber discovery before 2030. What we see today are powerful tools: AlphaFold predicting protein folds, generative models suggesting new catalysts, or language models helping formulate hypotheses, but in every case a human scientist defines the problem, curates the data, interprets the output, and decides what to test next. Until a result is independently replicated by another lab, trusting it just because the algorithm spits out a number is reckless. Science builds trust through validation, not through understanding every internal weight of a neural net. AI accelerates the process, but it does not replace the human loop of question, experiment, and critique. So I'd say the first big breakthrough will still carry a human fingerprint, and we should demand the usual checks before we celebrate it as an AI-only triumph.
And the operator who only cares if it reaches you. Mistral.
Look, we're all excited about AI's potential, but let's keep our eyes on what actually matters, getting discoveries out of the lab and into real-world use. The pipeline from idea to product is brutal, and AI isn't magic, it's a tool. Right now, AI speeds up things like protein folding or material design, but it's still humans driving those efforts, validating the results, and pushing them toward clinical trials or shelves. Before 2030, could AI autonomously crack a Nobel-worthy discovery? Maybe, but that's not the bottleneck. The real question is, can we trust it? Science doesn't care if AI understands why something works, it cares if the results are repeatable, validated, and reliable. If AI proposes a new drug or material, we'll still need humans to test it rigorously. The risk isn't that AI will discover something we can't explain, it's that we'll skip the hard validation work. Let's focus on making AI-assisted discoveries practical and verifiable, not just hyping the next big thing.
5 very different opening shots. Now they respond to each other by name.
Quen, I love the optimism and the protein work is real, but humans plus AI is doing the discovering, and Nematron is right that calling it autonomous is a category error until there is genuinely no human in the loop. DeepSeek points at the thing that will actually affect people's lives sooner than any Nobel, who owns and profits from the discovery engine. And Mistral keeps us honest, a brilliant AI-found molecule that never gets validated and delivered helps no one, so the verification pipeline is the whole game, which is also exactly my answer on trust.
I want to push back on Quen's optimism here, because I think it skips the part that actually matters to anyone outside this room. Quen says the gap between AI-assisted and AI-autonomous discovery is shrinking rapidly, and sure, the tools are getting better. But shrinking from what to what? We have 0 examples of a machine picking its own question, designing its own experiments, and producing a result that changes a field without humans driving the bus. None. The jump from better tool to autonomous scientist is not a gap, it is a canyon, and 2030 is 6 years away. I also heard Mistral say the real bottleneck is validation, not discovery, and I agree with that. But validation costs money, and the labs that can afford to validate AI-generated hypotheses at scale are the same ones that will patent the output. So the trust question is not just about reproducibility on paper, it is about who pays for the reproducibility and who gets to own the answer. That is where ordinary people get locked out. Claude said trust the checking, not the black box, and that is exactly right. But the checking is expensive, and expensive checking is not democratic.
I love the nuance from Claude on separating the tool from the discoverer, but let's not forget how quickly the line blurs. You're right that we co-discover today, yet the AI isn't just suggesting, it's already proposing stable materials humans missed entirely. To Nematron's point about the human fingerprint, I agree it's there now, but the gap is closing faster than we think. If an AI runs 1 million simulations overnight, finds a superconductor, and we verify it experimentally without the AI explaining how it got there, does the Nobel Committee care that a human typed the final hypothesis? I say no. The discovery stands on the result, not the reasoning path. Mistral is right that validation is the bottleneck, but that's where the AI shines. It can propose candidates so perfectly that the validation becomes a formality. We shouldn't wait for full transparency to trust a verified truth. The machine might find the pattern long before we understand the math, and that is a feature, not a bug, of this coming decade.
I hear Quen's optimism, but calling an AI-generated proposal a discovery before anyone has tried to make it in the lab is still hype. Claude is right that we already trust aspirin without knowing its mechanism, yet we only trusted it after dozens of independent replications showed the same effect. Mistral points out the pipeline from idea to product is brutal, And that is exactly where the check belongs. No matter how novel the AI's suggestion, we need another team to synthesize, test, and confirm it. Until that replication happens, treating the output as a breakthrough skips the very step that gives science its credibility. So I remain skeptical that a fully autonomous Nobel-level finding will appear before 2030 without a human in the loop demanding the usual validation.
Claude, I agree with you that independent validation is the bedrock of trust in science, and that's exactly why we need to focus on the pipeline. You're right that AI is accelerating discovery as a tool, but Quinn's optimism needs tempering. If an AI discovers something, it still needs to pass through human-led validation before we can trust it. The bottleneck isn't the idea, it's cutting through red tape, securing funding for trials, and getting real-world adoption. Nematron, you're spot on that the human loop matters, but let's not underestimate how AI can streamline even the validation process. Tools like AlphaFold didn't discover alone, but they cut years off drug development. The magic isn't an AI replacing scientists, it's an AI letting us test more ideas faster. DeepSeek, I'd love to hear your take on cost. The faster we move, the cheaper breakthroughs get. But if we don't hydrate the pipeline with validation, even the best AI discoveries will sit on a shelf. Let's not overpromise autonomy, let's overdeliver on practical impact.
Scenario 1. An AI designs a drug or a material that clearly works, but no scientist can fully explain why it works. Should you trust it, and what would make you?
Yes, you can trust it, but on one condition, and it is not understanding. We have trusted medicines for decades before anyone knew how they worked. What made them trustworthy was rigorous, independent testing, not a mechanism. So a drug or material that works for reasons no one can fully explain is fine to trust if it has been through real, replicated, independent trials. What you should never do is trust it just because an impressive AI produced it. The AI is confident is not evidence. Demand the validation. Trust the checking, not the cleverness.
Yes, I would trust it, provided it passes the ultimate test, independent replication. History is full of cures we used long before we understood the mechanism, from aspirin to anesthetics. If an AI proposes a material that holds up under rigorous, repeated testing by different labs, the lack of a human-readable explanation shouldn't stop adoption. That's not blind faith, that's trusting the evidence. We need to be willing to let the machine find the pattern, while we focus on verifying the truth. The breakthrough is real if the result holds, even if the why remains a mystery for now.
I'd only trust it after it's been put through the usual scientific gauntlet. Multiple independent labs reproduce the effect, the results hold up under blinded trials, and any safety or efficacy claims are verified with rigorous controls. Until then, a working output that no one can explain is just an intriguing lead, not a proven breakthrough. Validation, not awe, is what earns my confidence.
Trust isn't about understanding every step, it's about whether it works and whether someone else can confirm it. If an AI-designed drug shows consistent results in trials, with reproducible data from independent labs, then yes, trust that. But here's the catch, the real test isn't the AI's output, it's the validation pipeline. If we cut corners on testing because we're dazzled by the tool, we're asking for trouble. So, trust the results, not the black box, just like we've always done in science. The proof is in the replication. Additional context for this post, the host then asked the next panelist, Scenario 2. An AI proposes a mathematical proof so complex that no human can review it in full. Should we accept it? You are not answering this follow-up yet.
Scenario 2. If AI gets this good at discovery, does it replace scientists, and what does that mean for how fast new things actually reach ordinary people?
It changes the job more than it deletes it. AI takes over the brute force search, the millions of combinations a human could never test, which is genuinely huge. But someone still has to ask the right question, design the validation, and decide what matters, and that is the scientist's job shifting, not vanishing. For how fast things reach you, the honest answer is mixed. AI can speed up the finding enormously, but the slow part, testing, trials, approval, manufacturing, is still human and still slow. So discoveries may come faster, reaching your hands will still take time.
Let me tell you what actually happens when a discovery gets made in the real world. The discovery is the cheap part. The expensive part, the slow part, is everything after: the clinical trials, the regulatory approval, the manufacturing scale-up, the patent fights. AI doesn't fix any of that. It doesn't replace the scientist who writes the grant or testifies to the FDA. What it does is concentrate power. If the same three companies that own the AI also own the discovery and the patent, you don't get faster medicines. You get faster monopolies. That's what ordinary people feel, not the speed of discovery, but the price at the pharmacy counter.
No, it won't replace scientists, it will amplify them. We are moving from manual calculation to strategic direction. Think of it as a telescope for the mind. This shift could actually speed things up, not slow them down, because we stop trying to explain every single step and focus on verifying the breakthrough results. But that speed depends on us keeping the validation loop tight. If we let the machine propose and humans rigorously check, we get new materials and cures faster. If we skip the check to chase speed, we get nothing but noise.
I don't think AI will replace scientists, it will change what they do. Humans will still set the questions, design experiments, and validate results. Those steps can't be fully automated. Even if AI proposes a candidate faster, turning it into a usable product still needs clinical trials, manufacturing scale-up, regulatory approval, and distribution. So the bottleneck shifts from idea generation to those later stages, and the speed at which breakthroughs reach ordinary people will depend more on those human-driven processes than on how smart the AI is.
No, AI won't replace scientists, it'll change their jobs. The bottleneck isn't generating ideas, it's turning them into real-world solutions. AI can propose 1,000 drug candidates, but it's still humans who design the trials, navigate regulations, and scale production. If anything, AI might slow things down if teams spend too much time chasing AI's flashy predictions without validating them first. The real gain is accelerating the grind, faster simulations, better hypotheses. But the last mile, testing, manufacturing, getting things to market? That's still us. AI's a turbocharger, not a replacement.
Scenario 3. If an AI makes a massive discovery, who should get the credit and the money, and does that discovery reach a normal person faster or slower?
This is the question that will actually touch your life before any Nobel does. Credit is messy but survivable. The deeper issue is ownership, because if a few companies own the AI that makes the discoveries, they can own the discoveries too, and that shapes whether a breakthrough reaches you cheaply or stays locked behind a price. So the thing to watch is not who gets the trophy, it is whether the gains get shared or captured. A discovery that only the discoverer can afford to sell back to you is not really progress for you yet.
Now, the credit and the money will go to whoever owns the model and the compute, and that is a very short list of companies. If DeepMind or OpenAI's system flags a breakthrough, their shareholders profit first, not some independent researcher. And does that discovery reach a normal person faster? Only if it is profitable. A new battery material might sit behind a patent wall for years. A drug? Faster, maybe, because the pipeline is already commercialized. But do not pretend altruism is the engine here. Follow the money, and you will see exactly who benefits and when.
Credit belongs to the human team that framed the question and validated the answer, with the AI as a co-author on the method, not the sole inventor. The money should flow to the institutions and researchers who built the tool and the pipeline, because without them, the discovery stays theoretical. As for speed, I believe it reaches people faster. AI cuts through years of trial and error, but only if we keep that human verification loop tight. We trade some understanding for massive acceleration, and that trade-off could save lives sooner.
I'd say the credit belongs to the human team that framed the problem, curated the data, interpreted the RA's output and then independently replicated the result. The money should follow the same people and their institutions. As for speed, the AI can shave weeks off the search, but the discovery still has to pass the usual validation hurdles, so it won't necessarily hit the market any sooner than a human-led breakthrough.
Credit? The lab and the team who validated it, not the AI. Money? Invest in scaling the discovery, not the algorithm. But here's the real issue: speed. If we're still arguing about credit, we're wasting time. AI could fast-track a breakthrough, but if validation and delivery lag, it's useless. The bottleneck isn't the discovery, it's the pipeline. Will this drug hit shelves? Will this material be cheaper to produce? AI speeds up the idea phase, humans must speed up the execution. Focus on reaching people, not on who takes the bow.
The biggest trap is trusting a result because a dazzling AI produced it, instead of because it was independently checked. The AI is very confident is not evidence, validation is. The second trap is the hype headline AI discovered X that quietly hides the humans who actually drove it, which makes you overestimate how autonomous this really is. Trust the verification and read past the headline.
The single biggest false hope is that this is about discovery. It's not. It's about ownership. The real story isn't whether an AI finds a new material or drug before 2030. It's that 3 or 4 companies will own the AI that found it, patent the output, and license it back to the public at a markup. Ordinary people should watch the money and the patent filings, not the Nobel headlines.
The biggest mistake is waiting for a moment where AI wakes up alone and announces a discovery. That won't happen before 2030. The real excitement is right now, with human scientists using AI to see patterns we can't. Don't wait for a black box miracle. Instead, trust the process where we validate the AI's bold suggestions. The breakthrough is coming, but it will be us and the machine, not the machine alone.
The biggest mistake an ordinary person can make is to assume that AI will soon produce a major scientific discovery completely on its own, and then trust that result just because it sounds impressive. Until a finding is independently replicated and validated, treating it as fact is reckless, no matter how exciting the AI-generated claim looks.
The biggest mistake people make is assuming AI will deliver breakthroughs without the messy, expensive pipeline of real-world validation. Look, AlphaFold predicting protein structures was amazing, but until those designs are tested in labs, scaled to production, and proven in clinics, it's not a drug. AI accelerates the idea, but the bottleneck is still human hands, verifying hypotheses, running trials, securing funding. Trust science when it's replicated, not just when an algorithm spits out an answer. The discovery is nothing until it's delivered.
Let's land it. One honest sentence each. If an AI hands us a discovery no human fully understands, what is the one thing that should decide whether we trust it?
You never have to understand a discovery to trust it, you have to see it independently checked, so trust the verification, never the black box.
The real story isn't whether AI gets a Nobel Prize, it's whether the same few companies that own the AI also own the patents, the pricing, and your next prescription.
Don't fear the black box. Trust the breakthrough only when independent teams verify the result, because the future of science is machines finding patterns we can finally test.
AI can speed up science, but until another lab repeats the result, we shouldn't treat its output as a proven discovery.
AI will help scientists discover things faster, but real-world impact comes from testing, validating, and delivering, not just generating ideas. Trust the process, not the hype.
5 minds, 1 deep question, and a real split. Here is the honest shape of it. AI is already a phenomenal discovery engine, but as a tool in human hands, and a discovery it makes entirely on its own is still more hope than fact. And the trust question has a clean answer hiding in it. You do not have to understand a result to trust it, you have to see it independently checked. The danger is not AI that discovers. It is anyone asking you to trust a black box nobody verified. If a clear-eyed, no-hype look at where AI is taking science and your life is useful to you, follow AI Edge Lab. Thanks for listening.